Let's do it. It's Monday movie talk time, and you know what that means. We're discussing the box office and how Men in Black and Shaft did this weekend. And then on top of that, a new Hunger Games movie is in the works, specifically a prequel book being written by the author and then adapted to the screen by Lionsgate. They want to keep that franchise going. I got a lot of thoughts on that one. And of course, as you know, box office is always too. And it's Monday, so I get to talk about it with John Rocha, and we have a very special guest in studio, Simon Thompson. Simon, I'm so happy we made this work.
I'm happy I'm allowed to be here.
Yes.
Which is great. So thank you for having me.
Oh, we got to get into it. We got a lot to discuss today.
Let's get that bread.
You said it. You said it and appeased him at the very beginning of the episode. We can't do that here.
It's
Fine.
lit bread. Let's get that lit bread.
For the record, I still have yet to say it myself. All right, box office. So actuals are in now. Here's the top 5 of the box office. Men in Black International opened up with $30 million this weekend. After that, it was Secret Life of Pets 2 with $24.4 million. The 3 position went to Aladdin, which made $17.3 million. Then it's actually Rocketman at number 4. When the actuals came in versus the estimates, Rocketman and Dark Phoenix switched positions because Rocketman had $9.42 million, followed by Dark Phoenix, which only made $9.35 million. You guys look at this chart. What stands out to you, Simon?
Well, first of all, more people need to go and see Rocketman.
Yes.
Hands down.
Yes,
one of the best movies of the
absolutely.
year. Not at all surprised that Men in Black International hasn't done well. Nobody wanted this movie. Nobody was excited about this movie. And it appears that nobody was talking about this movie. I mean, I think the advertising campaign for this has been so underwhelming. I was getting a meh from the industry, a massive meh in Black. I don't know who it was for. That's the thing. I don't know who it was for.
I'm glad you said Met in Black
Meh
and you didn't
in
make
Black.
a neuralizer joke.
No, come on, no. Oh, God,
You'll get called out on Twitter for that.
I know, right? No, it was just, seriously, it was just, I mean, it was a boring movie.
Yeah.
Everything was on screen, and how anything with that much action can be dull, I don't know, but it's happened 3 times this summer already. This, Godzilla, and Dark Phoenix. So much going on screen, really dull movie. And I just think word of mouth was so weak. There was just no buzz. I've not seen a summer that is so unbuzzy for the longest time.
Not for long.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's going to change, hopefully. But, I mean, I'm not entirely surprised that it didn't do well. I thought it would have done worse, to be honest with you.
Yeah, when the actuals came in, I wound up being spot on. $30 million. This is kind of what I expected. And I also expect it to fizzle out really quickly. And I expect Toy Story 4 next weekend to kind of like suck the air out of the room for every other thing. The only one I'm curious about next weekend, though, when we were talking about this before we started rolling, is Child's Play's fate. Because it is a very interesting piece of counter programming that is also like oddly connected to Toy Story and what that is. So the two of them going head to head, I find interesting. But I feel like most other things on this chart that we're talking about right now, they are just gonna tank. And speaking of tanking, you know what else tanked at the box office this weekend? Shaft.
Poor
Rocha.
Shaft.
What happened there?
I don't know what we do here. Sam Jackson can't open a Shaft movie. This is such a shame. You remember that John Singleton movie, which was so good with fantastic performances? Christian Bale and Jeffrey Wright. You remember that they were in a Shaft movie?
Yep.
It's kind of mind-blowing. It's fantastic. You look at this one, this 3-generation Shaft. I love they brought Roundtree back, but clearly this is an interesting book because it made like $8 or $9 million, but an A cinema score.
Yeah.
So this is fascinating to me because you look at the B for Men in Black, definitely right down the toilet, but the A for Shaft is interesting, which means although the reviews may not have been good, the people who went to see it really enjoyed it. So you start wondering if maybe this is a marketing situation. Maybe people are just tired with the Shaft story and they didn't want to go see it, but clearly there might be a decent movie in here that is just being overlooked for a number of reasons.
I think it's really interesting about when audiences turn out and don't turn out for Sam Jackson movies.
Right.
Because, I mean, he is in a lot of movies that do phenomenally well. How much of he is as a drawer, I don't know. We saw him more in Captain Marvel a couple of months ago. People really enjoyed that. It's the first time we've seen a lot of him in a Marvel movie. But then you get things that are kind of in the middle, like Hitman's Bodyguard, where that was more of a Ryan Reynolds-driven thing because Ryan Reynolds. But anything else, I mean, he does a lot of these smaller movies or sort of other studio movies that don't get the thing. And people just don't turn out. They just simply don't. People love Sam Jackson, but they don't love him enough to pay $15, which
Even
is
more
really
than
weird.
Star power, I feel like we're just kind of like in the summer of mediocre blockbusters, and people are catching on. And it's also like we have so many special blockbusters out there. It's like I want to spread the love a little, but the truth of the matter is everyone went and spent their money on Avengers Endgame, which was a great movie. And then next weekend, everyone's going to spend their money on Toy Story 4, which is also a great movie. And then who knows what's going to happen after that. There is some good stuff in between. It's like I wish more people saw Late Night this weekend, but when it comes to only having X amount of dollars to spend at the theater all summer long, there's only so many things you can catch.
I think there are two problems with this. I think the fact that there are a lot of movies that just simply aren't having enough room to breathe. There's no 2-week or maybe 3-week window. I think the last thing we saw really where there was a 2-week window was in the run-up to Aladdin. That was kind of where it was. Everybody stayed out of the way of Avengers Endgame. Then we had a little breather, but it's really rammed in. And I think a lot of people this summer are, when they find a really good movie, they're going to see it more than once.
Yes.
So I think where they're having like the $15 for the first time and then $15 will be another movie, they're just not going to see that second movie. They're not interested in it for whatever reason. They're going to go and see the same movie again. I still know people that are seeing Avengers Endgame for like a second, third, fourth time. And even movies like Booksmart. You know, people are going to go and see Booksmart and everyone's going, ooh, Booksmart again. But, you know, if people are liking it, they're taking their friends. They're going back and they're seeing it again. And they're sacrificing that over a Child's Play or a Dark Phoenix or whatever.
I'm actually curious to go back now and look at what happened post-Avatar, because if we have a movie that is, you know, challenging the title for biggest release of all time, I just wonder if Avatar, especially with the repeat viewing thing, had a similar effect on the big releases that came out after it. I have to go look that up.
Maybe, but I just want to make sure it's clear. Monday morning, I was right that it wasn't going to cross Avatar, so give it up. But here's Aladdin for $7, because everybody called me crazy. Everybody said it was ridiculous to think it wasn't going to do it, and it didn't do it. $725 million for Aladdin. It's hard to say this about a movie making this much, but it is this little engine that keeps going, and people are going over and over again to see it. I think to your point, Simon, that it is pushing it up into this realm where it's like it smells $1 billion. That's mind blowing to me, because no one thought this thing was going to have any shot at coming anywhere near something like this, and it's incredible to see how well it's doing so quickly. And when you look at, which I know you're going to get into, Perri, we look at Dark Phoenix when Rocket Man is beating you, and Rocket Man is disappointing in terms of the box office returns versus the quality of the film, is beating you in your second weekend. That's a bad sign.
Rocket Man in weekend 3 compared to a big X-Men movie in weekend 2, that really is a significant drop. I mean, it's the complete opposite trajectory as Aladdin. Weekend 2, Dark Phoenix dropped 71.5%. That is a huge number. This thing is going to be gone from existence so soon.
This is a franchise that other franchises used to stay out of the way of. People were like, an X-Men movie's coming out, get the hell out of the way.
Right.
Don't come out in the first 2 weeks. But now it appears, even with big stars like Jennifer Lawrence and, you know, obviously, you know, people like Michael Fassbender, people were very thirsty for Fassbender, and just people aren't turning out. Even, I mean, I've got to say, in that movie, there were a lot of the cast that even didn't appear to be excited about Dark Phoenix, and that was making bank for them. I've never seen a cast so willing to die. It was crazy. But yeah, I think people are just, these franchises, I think, are burning. We're not having the legacy that we used to have.
Well, speaking of franchises running into problems, I want to take one question from the live chat right now from Bobby Singer. He's asking, how much does the failure of Men in Black International further dampen excitement for fellow Sony franchise relaunch Charlie's Angels, as people always had more faith in MIB to be good?
Yeah, I'm definitely lukewarm about Charlie's Angels, especially when you look at that cast. That cast isn't the traditional Charlie's Angels cast. So this is an interesting approach that they're taking. It's going to take a hell of a great reviews, a hell of a film for people to go and see this thing already. The time may have passed for it. Certainly that showed in Men in Black International. But also with Men in Black, they undercut the whole foundation of that franchise with this movie. If Charlie's Angels doesn't do that, then I think it has a better shot at making more money than Men in Black did.
I think we're also seeing a trend at the moment with a lot of female-led action movies, where we had a couple of years ago, kind of when it got to Atomic Blonde, everybody was starting to get a little bit tired in audiences. Some of them were getting a little bit samey. Now we've got Anna coming out this weekend. I mean, Anna, who is Anna? You know, nobody knows this movie's coming out. It's got Helen Mirren. I actually thought it was a spoof when I saw the advert. Peppermint didn't do last well. Miss Bala didn't do well. There are so many of these movies coming out. And I think this Hollywood thing of like, hey, movies with women leading them as these strong action heroes, let's make 9. And then people are going, I'm going to see 4, and then I want to see other movies for the 5 where I'm going to spend my money. And I just don't think, I'm with John on this, I just don't think anybody, again, like Men in Black, I don't know who it's aimed at. I don't think anybody... I don't think the people who are paying to see these movies want these movies.
I hate taking one movie's failure and judging another that we haven't even seen a stitch of footage for using that. But the truth of the matter is it's almost like the tone of the conversation, the air in the room, a bad taste that's something else left in your mouth that it's being connected to strictly because it's a reboot and it's coming from the same studio. So yes, when something like this happens with Men in Black, I'm going to get concerned for that.
If I was them, I'd get some footage out now. I'd get some footage out really, really quickly, get people excited about it, because at the moment, the longer you hold off, I think the more the stench is going to develop in the room, even if it's a great movie.
Yeah.
We can go on and on about this, and we are going to go on and on about this, because all summer long, I mean, like you were saying before, Simon, we really do not have a break at the box office.
No.
One big release after the next, and we're going to cover it all right here. But right now, we got to tell you about a show that you could watch right here at 5 p.m. PT Live. Here's Rule of 2.
Hey guys, Riley here, and let me tell you about Rule of 2. You looking for a Star Wars fix? Well, Rule of 2 is that show. It drops on Collider Video's main YouTube channel, as well as on PodcastOne's Jedi Council feed. So go over there, subscribe, share it with your friends. It's hosted by myself and Mark Fernandez. We talk everything in the Star Wars universe with a lot of deep dives and a lot of conversations that go all in. You know what to do. Subscribe, join us there, and rise.
So you got Rule of 2, and then on top of that, make sure you're checking out all the content over on The Factory, one of our podcast feeds. You can get it at PodcastOne.com or Apple iTunes. For example, that's where you can find the new episode of Witching Hour tomorrow morning. We had a very special guest. Mick Garris was on the show. I am so excited to share that chat with you guys tomorrow morning. Check it out. All right, story number 2, yet another thing I'm excited about. I'm a huge Hunger Games fan. I actually credit the first Hunger Games movie with changing my career in a way that gave me more consistent work, because when that movie first started like casting and, becoming like big movie news around the internet, the outlet I was working for at the time, I was the only one who had read the books and really loved them. So all of a sudden I got all this work. So I love this franchise, and I'm very excited that they announced today that Suzanne Collins, the writer of the original books, she's going to write a prequel novel set in Panem 64 years before the events of the original trilogy. And then on top of that, that book is due out May 19th, 2020, but the chairman of the Lionsgate Motion Picture Group also revealed that the studio is already developing a film adaptation in tandem with Collins. So you hear that. What do you guys think? Is the first concern basically what we were talking about in the box office segment? Like, its time has come and gone, and this is kind of, heading towards a dead end.
The time, I think, had come and gone effectively by the time the last Hunger Games movie came out. We'd already seen in the box office returns, we'd seen in the crowds turning out at the premieres, Jennifer Lawrence had become bigger than the franchise. She was a huge thing then. We'd already seen a bit of a disinterest. YA has continually proved to be a really difficult sell. The audience that lapped that stuff up are now grown up. And it's a really difficult sell, And also, I think, I have a long history with this franchise. I remember when I had never read the books, but I was aware that they were massively popular. And the year is 2011. The city is London. And I was doing junket for X-Men First Class, and Jennifer Lawrence was off already doing the Hunger Games. So she was in the middle of a forest. We did a satellite link for the interviews. She was offered and was like, hey, Jennifer Lawrence is going to be huge. Nobody was interested in Jennifer Lawrence at the time. Hunger Games press tour came out in London. I had to literally push the outlet that I was working with to want to cover these movies. Jennifer Lawrence, because at the time she was still kind of unknown. She was obviously come out of, Winter's Bone, but that was about it. And so it was a really difficult sell, but then it hit really, really big. But I think when it hit big, it burned really quickly. And part of the mistake was splitting one of the books. The lesson they have to learn this time is do the book as one movie.
I don't know. I think I might disagree on that one. I do think that we do have an issue in this industry, or maybe not even an issue. I don't think that's the right word. The challenge of when you extend a franchise to that extent, it's just difficult to keep it afloat for that long. But when it comes to Mockingjay, the book, I think the fact that they split it into a movie is a good decision creatively, because that book is dense. And even though I do like all 3 books, the first two are way stronger, and just like the whole architecture of those books is much stronger than Mockingjay, which is just like so many ideas crammed into one. So I thought that was a good move from a story perspective. It's just that, as we see with many franchises out there, it starts off, money-wise, like up here, and then all of a sudden it starts to trickle down.
It killed Divergent.
Right.
Well,
Divergent was
Well,
one that really suffered.
Divergent had a problem at the very beginning,
It
though,
sucked.
because, I wouldn't say it sucked. It definitely paled in comparison to the first Hunger Games movie, and then the next movie sucked.
Yeah, that is true. That's fair.
You start to wonder if we've moved. That's what I mean. Like we were mentioning earlier, have we moved past the time? Do we need one? Does this excite people? I don't see this excitement on the internet that I would normally see with an announcement like this. Besides Perri, obviously, I don't see.
I was going to say, it's because I've like stolen it and bottled it all up for myself.
Well, you need more people to be involved. And I wonder if they're going to find this lightning in a bottle like Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah.
This is an Oscar-winning actress they found to lead there. Will they be able to do that again? Or are actresses more circumspect now as they look at a franchise like this and go, do I really want to walk into this and commit myself to 3 years and do 3 movies? And what this could lead to? Will it restrict me? Will people only see me as this? Jennifer has that instinct, which is why it's so ironic that she got her bones made by being in these franchise movies in terms of being a superstar, but her actual acting bones are independent.
Yeah.
And so she is a legitimately damn good actress. Being in these franchises limited her. So I wonder if there are actresses coming through that you'd want to be a part of it who will turn it down.
Well, we don't even know if this is going to wind up being a star-making vehicle for someone who is like Jennifer Lawrence, because we have no clue what the story is going to be. It's like I sat there Googling, and I know a lot of the books talk about previous Hunger Games, but, if we're talking about 64 years before the first movie, we're probably in like the 10th Hunger Games.
Yeah.
So I Googled it because I couldn't remember what specifically happened in the 10th Hunger Games, and all there is out there is some sort of deleted scene from Mockingjay or an image that I haven't even seen of all of the Hunger Games winners written on pillars, and there's some backstory for a character named, I have the name here, Griffin Naismith, and apparently according to the description on the Hunger Games wiki, I don't remember this from the book, so I can't tell you if Suzanne Collins is the one who even came up with this, but it was like a really violent game where someone shot him through the eye with an arrow and he ripped it out and stabbed the person to death, but there's no...
I'm not going to see the movie now.
There is no way they're doing that. That
Yeah.
seems like super dark, and it also is just... I'm excited about this movie no matter what. The idea of going with an early Hunger Games at that point seems really strange to me, when the richest prequel opportunity is to go back to either the first Hunger Games or paving the way to what led Panem to make the decision to make the first Hunger Games happen to begin with. That is the storytelling opportunity. The only character that I'm aware of that could maybe be included in this is a young President Snow.
That's reading your article, the article that Collider did 3 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
About these prequels. You brought up the president, and I thought that would be an interesting way in. Does this have to be a female-led Hunger Games?
See,
it doesn't.
That was an
It could be the
interesting way in my mind, right after Mockingjay Part 2 came out,
Right.
especially with how important that character was at the end of that series.
Yeah.
So many years removed from it at this point, I don't see how that idea is going to capture a worldwide movie-going audience.
Another thing to look at too with these Harry Potter films, right? How do these?
I was gonna say, Fantastic Beasts.
The Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah.
People were looking forward to it and seeing if they would like it. And then they kind of half liked it, and then they really hated the second one. So this is the danger with this, you know?
I think there's a big difference between liking the idea of a movie
Right.
and actually putting your hands in your pocket, your butt in the seat, and going to see the movie. I think it's really different. People love going to the theme parks. They love buying all the stuff. They love rewatching the old movies. I know so many Harry Potter fans that are just simply, for a variety of reasons, just not interested with revisiting or engaging in this story, because they know where it's going. And they know some of the characters they like are going to be in there, but they've already got it in the book. I think it's a bit of a gamble. If I was Lionsgate, I would definitely make this into a 5 or 10 part miniseries. Stick it on TV. Do that. Make it an event for TV. I wouldn't take the risk of taking a chance with those butts on seats. That's what I'd do.
Never say no to another Hunger Games movie because of the attachment I have to this property. But the idea of going a miniseries or a TV series route, that sounds like it's probably the way to format it.
And also, people are queuing up to do really hot TV shows now. Meryl Streep to the Hunger Games. But no, seriously, I think if they want to do it, Do that. If it's going to be a thick book, make sure you have those 10 one-hour episodes.
Could you imagine something like super dark and bloody, like along the lines of, like Battle Royale on HBO?
TV can do that right now.
Says to
Game
me,
of Thrones, Walking Dead, so many shows do it.
That's the formula to fill the Game of Thrones void.
Yeah,
I don't know. Well, clearly that's not the path they're taking. They're developing this thing. I'm not quite sure what the timeline would be on something like this.
Yeah.
The book is coming out in May 2020, but if they're already actively developing it with the author, then it would seem that they are going to try to get things going fairly quickly. We will watch out for all these updates. You can bet I will. All right, let's get some questions in here. Let's take this first one from, I'm going to pronounce your last name wrong, Pardis. I'm not going to try. Pardis, thank you for your question. We're going to ask, could West Side Story be the next success for a musical like Greatest Showman was and for Spielberg? This is like a Rocha question all over the place.
Look, I love Greatest Showman. I'll defend to the day I die. But this first image of West Side Story just turned me completely off to this production. All these pretty people in this thing. You know what was great about the original? There was a lot of dirtiness. Yes, you could say they were dancers or whatever, but they looked dirty. They looked street. Nobody looks street in this picture unless we're talking about Sesame Street or Beverly Hills 90210 Street. It does not look like it's supposed to look. So these are we're talking about knives and guns, zip guns and all this kind of stuff in West Side Story. What you've got here is pretty kids out of the latest high school dancing around in this picture. It drives me insane. Wearing Converse.
I think they're all wearing. I don't know why I noticed that, but they're all wearing the same sneakers.
It did look a little bit like a Gap advert or
light
something like
Latinos,
that.
light skin. What the hell? Anyway.
But the whole thing kind of struck me as something like a little bit of Dangerous Minds, a little bit of Sister Act, and a little bit of High School Musical.
Yes.
I got the same thing, and I'm getting bad Jersey Boys vibes off this again because that is a show that I love. I love musicals like you, and I just get that kind of, I don't know, have you sucked all the life out of it? I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing footage, and I do love a musical movie, but my spider sense is tingling in a good way.
I don't know. I mean, you say Sister Act, and all of a sudden that makes me a little more interested than I was before because I love those movies. But this image, first glance, I'm like, "Ooh, that's a pretty picture," and I like Ansel Elgort. But when I really thought about it, it's like it was missing like a texture that I thought we were going to get. But again, this is one image from an entire movie, so I'm not ready to like completely like wipe this off the map now. One other thing I wanted to ask you guys about because it caught my eye today, the Ready or Not trailer, because this one was like I want to say like a punch in the face, but like a good one this morning.
Yeah. That email dropped in my box. I was just having my breakfast and I was like, I had no idea this movie even existed. I was like, okay, I'm going to watch the trailer. Seriously, that movie to me seems like a mix between You're Next and Clue. It is just insane. It's what I wanted movies like Hotel Artemis to be last year. This kind of like, this fun, violent universe that we're enjoying movies like John Wick in again. Really intelligent, fun, cleverly choreographed action movies with an edge of horror and edge of darkness. Genuinely really exciting. For a movie that I didn't know about yesterday, it's one of the movies I really want to see this summer now.
Yeah, that one looks like a lot of fun. I love how the trailer was cut too. I'm a little concerned that they showed too much because there are a couple of things that I think in the moment would have been like a whoa, that just happened kind of thing. But from a selling standpoint, it worked. It just easily made that one of the movies that I'm most excited for in the rest of the year.
You just don't see enough Andie MacDowell movies where she's carrying a crossbow.
The best horror is the tension horror, the suspense horror, the you don't know what's coming around the corner horror, and that's the universal appeal of a game night gone wrong.
Yeah.
There's so much about this that speaks my language that I'm super excited to see this, and Samara Weaving as well, who I've been enjoying in Smilf.
Yes.
I loved her in Smilf, and then I've seen her in a couple other things. She's a tough, fantastic actress that has a little bit of the Margot Robbie look, but it works in all these other different genres, so I love it.
If you do not know who she is, like Google her name right now because I am betting she is going to be one of the next big things. Another recommendation I'll give you is watch her in Mayhem. She kicks so much ass in Mayhem, and I love it. All right,
she'd be perfect for a Hunger Games project if it was going to be a Hunger Games project. I'm just saying.
That might work.
Okay.
Now I'm interested.
I wouldn't mind that pairing.
I'm just saying.
Let's get one quick Hunger Games question in here. Let's see. I lost the one that I was looking for because there are so many questions.
Lionsgate.
All right, we're going to move away from Hunger Games really quick. This is going to be hard to come up with on the spot. Micah is asking, if you could make a prequel to any movie franchise, what would it be?
Transformers.
Of course you would.
There it is. A prequel on Cybertron, the battle, the first 5 minutes of Bumblebee, everybody loved. You know why? Because it was badass. Put that prequel on Cybertron from beginning to end. Everything on Cybertron. People go crazy for it. Ape shit.
Do you know what I'd really like to do? I would like to do Back to the Future.
Oh, nice.
But I would like to do Back to the Future where we explore Doc Brown's story more than the Marty McFly timeline. Because we'd always see a little bit of sort of, where he was in his life, but there's something else behind Doc Brown that took him into that world of science that we've never seen. And I think that could be an option.
Yeah, he's a rich family kid. Did he disappoint his parents by becoming a scientist? Mm-hmm. There's so much to explore there. Agreed.
This is an obvious answer for me, but I really do want a medical-ish drama in Jurassic Park where it's like the slow build to actually either them realizing they have the capabilities to create a dinosaur or birthing their first dinosaur and what that was like. I could never say no to more Jurassic.
What about going back in his story and finding out what happened?
John Hammond?
Yeah, John Hammond's
back when he's busy doing a flea circus or something?
Yeah, something.
Some visual opportunities right there. I don't know. It's probably never going to happen. That is the end of this edition of Collider Movie Talk. Rocha, as always,
thank you.
Thank you for being here. You know where to find that guy. But Simon, tell everybody where they could find your work, you on social media, all that good stuff.
You can find my work everywhere from Forbes and Reuters to E! News and everything in between. Sci-Fi Now magazine, loads of places. If you want to find me on social media, it's at Showbiz Simon on Instagram and Twitter. And I also do a podcast every week called Meet the Movie Press, which you can find via my Twitter as well. Thank you.
Check all that out. Another huge thank you to Adam and Dorian in the room here. Guys, you all rock, but you know what will make you even more special in our hearts? If you like and share this episode of Collider Movie Talk and tell everybody you know about the show right here on YouTube and also in podcast form as well. Guess what? That's it. We're leaving, but we'll see you tomorrow, 3 p.m. PT Live for a brand new episode.